Hello, I'm Jimmy Carr and welcome to my Comedy Cuts, my pick of my favourite stand-up clips from some of the best and funniest comedians around. Some of them will be familiar to you. Some are names you might not have heard before, but they all have one thing in common. They're all masters of the craft of joke-telling. And while we're enjoying the clips, I'll be telling you some of the secrets behind what makes jokes work. Because believe it or not, over the years, brainy scientists have spent an awful lot of time and a great deal of money on trying to work out what makes a joke funny. Of course, there's one guaranteed way of making a joke work. Get Les Dawson to tell it.
It's hard to believe, but despite my bulk, I firmly believe in physical fitness. I only smoke between meals. Last night I had 49 dinners. Every morning, as I wake up, I do the same exercises. 1, 2, 3, down 1, 2, 3. Up 1, 2, 3, down 1, 2, 3. Then the other eyelid. Nowadays I play golf. I'm not saying I'm a bad golfer, but I've been in the bunker so often I've sandfly fever. You want to stay healthy in this day and age, you mustn't smoke, drink, eat or breathe the very air. If you haven't got the figure of a pea stick with see-through collarbones, it's not to shove you onto a cattle truck. Frankly, I like the way I am. I watch my waistline very carefully. It sticks out so much you can't miss it. A lady of my acquaintance who was obsessed with dieting. She was so thin that when she swallowed an orange pip, her doctor sent her for an advanced pregnancy test. She had a notice on her chest in case of love this way up. Her husband was a bricklayer. And when she drank tomato juice, he used it as a spirit level. It all ended in utter tragedy. One night she took an overdose of Alka-Seltzer and she fizzed to death. If you want to stay healthy, do as I do, follow the Dr. Schwemming-Fester weight control method. As many of you in the audience know, Dr. Schwemming-Fester is an ex-Gestapo tap dancer with an old dwarf Cayley band in Wolverhampton. He gave me a thorough examination of his surgery. I stood before him in the nude, and he raised my right arm and confiscated my packet of cigarettes. He then raised my left arm and took away the box of matches. He then ordered me to bend down. I said, don't tell me you want me chewing gum as well.
Laughter is the best medicine. It might not be true if you've broken your leg or you're on fire, but jokes really do make us feel better about ourselves, especially when they mean making someone else feel worse. There's a special type of joke that gains all its power from the fact that we like to put other people down. Academics call them jokes about superiority. I prefer to call it taking the piss. Let's talk about this superiority theory for a bit. Psychologists suggest that we get some kind of comfort from laughing at people who we secretly hate or who we fear. And that makes sense. Just think of all the names you had for your teachers at school. The scary ones had the most names, didn't they? And yes, I'm talking about you, Mrs. Kelly, Kelly the belly, you big fat jelly, a big fat face and your feet are smelly. Lovely woman. Dead now, of course. One of my favourite stand-ups is the amazingly energetic Lee Evans. Whatever deadpan is, he's the opposite of that.
People are trying to hang on to their youth. Women, for instance, are having breast implants. Why? Don't do that to yourself. You're beautiful as you are. Why? Have you ever thought about when you get really old, it's all going to drop? You'll go around and see Nan, it'd be like a couple of billiard balls and a pair of socks. You should be all bruised up. What happened? Were you mugged? No, I ran through the bus and it all came out. People are having their tongues pierced. What happens when you get really old? You know, you go around and see Granny, she'll have her tongue pierced and she'll be talking to you through false teeth. It'd be like talking to a dolphin. Like, I'm forgetting stuff now. I'm having these pointless conversations with my wife. She go, what's John's second name? And you go, John who? Pointless. I like it when your wife asks you for a name, you don't get it, and now you're the idiot, you know? They go, what's his name's name? And you just say anything. I don't know, Desmond Tutu. Women love that when you forget stuff or when you lose stuff. As soon as a woman sees you looking for something around the house, they're in. What are you looking for? Car keys. Game on. Women always get practical. They do brilliant stuff like, right, now this is the bowl for the keys, all right? Keys bowl, say it. Keys bowl. I don't mind, but it all starts again in 2 weeks because she's moved the bowl. It's got pebbles in it. Because when I was a kid, I was nuts, you know? I was hyper when I was a kid. I was breastfed espresso, you know, I was a bit mad. Something men haven't got their head around. They can't handle breastfeeding. They spend their life after women's breasts, but they walk in a room where a woman's breastfeeding, they go, I'll leave you with that one, love. You know, women don't care. If the kid has to be fed, they're out. You could be in the middle of the high street, bosh. I mean, the kid has to be there, like. You know, you can't sit in the self-service at Debenhams with one out and a cup of tea. You look mad.
So the theory about jokes of superiority is that we try to make someone we secretly fear seem ridiculous. That would mean that Lee Evans was scared of his wife. And because of the sorts of jokes that I tell, it would mean that I'm secretly scared of women, and fat women especially. And I'm not, unless I'm standing between a fat woman and a buffet, in which case I do get nervous. Of course, you don't have to laugh at other people. You can always make jokes at your own expense. Here's the wonderful Frankie Howerd.
So I went to see my doctor. He said, I went to see the doctor. He said, I haven't seen you for some time. I said, no, I've been ill. He said, I could tell he wasn't taking me seriously, this doctor, so I showed him my big red blotch. That shook him. He fell right off his nurse. And he said, I think you've got some rare form of chicken pox. So I went to this hospital, the casualty department, and this man said, you can't come in here unless you've had an accident, you see. So I went outside, I had an accident, and I got myself run over by a pram, and I limped back in, and this man said, that's better now, what's wrong with you? I said, well, my doctor thinks I've got chicken pox. So he said, go to room 42, he said. And he said, and take all your clothes off. So I did. He said, the specialist will be in to see you shortly. So I thought, that's a bit much. I came in with the chicken pox. Now they want to look at me shortly. Anyway, I was lying on this table with just a sheet over my naked form. Yes. And 3 female members of this hospital mob, wearing their white coats, walked in. And one of them walked over, raised the corner of the sheet, had a good look, giggled, and walked back again. My life, a minute later, another of these white uniformed ladies did the same thing, walked forward, raised the corner of the sheet, and giggled. Returned to the side of the room. I thought, this is a liberty. This is a liberty. I mean, you'd think these medical types would be used to looking at nice, naked bodies by now, wouldn't you? Anyway, when the third comes over, lifts the sheet, you see, takes the butcher's, I thought myself, this is ridiculous. So I pulled off my sheet and I said, look, is this chicken pox or not? And she said, how the hell do we know? We're just the tea ladies.
The thing with Frankie Howerd is that he was unique, just like Kenneth Williams, and Graham Norton, and Alan Carr, and Paul O'Grady. And Julian Clary. Yeah, unique. Cardiff hospitals have some of the worst rates of MRSA in Britain. Do you know what the Welsh for now wash your hands is? No, well, neither do they. Sometimes jokes are used by a supposedly weak group to express their power and superiority over a supposedly stronger group. For the purposes of this discussion, let's call the weaker group, women, and the stronger, more dominant, superior and better group, men. Here's a joke women tell each other to put men down. Men are like carpet tiles. Lay them right, and you can walk all over them for the next 30 years. Which does, in fact, make us men feel a little bit rubbish about ourselves. And until we realise that we're probably the ones that paid for those carpet tiles, and we're the ones that knew how to cut around them so they'd fit nicely in the bathroom. Yeah, well done us. Here's Emmy Award-winning Margaret Smith. She was in Goodfellas. She played the school guard. You remember the school guard? She was in that scene at the school. Garden it.
Just came from a big emergency neighborhood meeting. Everyone's outraged because a strip bar opened up. Yeah, there's a big sign out in front of it. Totally nude. Wow, I thought they meant to get in. So I'm standing in line. Hey, anything for a free buffet. You been to the gym lately, boys? Some of those guys overdevelop. You seen those mesomorph frogmen in the gym? These guys are like barrel of monkey men, you know? You just want to hook their arms together and lower them out the window of the gym. It's like if your neck is as wide as your head, take a day off. Supposed to go in a little. Their arms are so huge they can't get their hands in their pockets. These guys, I don't know how they take a leak. Guys, they must have to use prongs or something. There we go. They shake it. Is that the laziest thing you've ever seen in your life? Grab a piece of tissue. If women had wieners, we would dab, wouldn't we? He's shaking it on everything. Should wear a mud flap or something. Getting your business on everything. That's wrong.
Of course, the superiority theory of comedy really makes sense when you think about old-fashioned mainstream comedy that picked on different racial or sexual groups. Thankfully, though, those days are behind us, and it's no longer acceptable to make jokes about the inferior, the disadvantaged, or the ignorant, or, as we like to call them these days, Scottish people. Now it's time for some more we-based humour, this time from Sean Locke, who's highlighting the problems we all face when we're not quite sure what group we belong to.
Also, I've other problems. I've just been banned from my local pub as well. You know, I've just got banned from my pub because I went in the wrong toilet. Not my fault at all. No, what the pub's done, right, what they've done, you know some pubs, they try to be a bit light-hearted with the toilets. Have a bit of a laugh with the toilets, you know. Pub's called the White Hart, right? Instead of ladies and gents, they've got two pictures of a deer up. Underneath, it says Hinds and Bucks. And when I went up there, I wasn't sure. I thought, am I a hind or a buck? You don't really need that when you're busting for a piss, do you? A quiz. I just want to go toilet. Well, I feel like a buck. Maybe I'm a hind, a bit of a bastard. Ooh, he's a hind. Ooh, yeah. The worst ones are the swan-based pubs, aren't they? God, then you've got two pictures of a swan up. Underneath, it says Cobs and Pens. I have the foggiest idea. I'll stare at the picture looking for a clue. Breasts or a penis, anything. A thicker forewing, come on. I didn't want to burst in case it was a swan's toilet. You know how bad-tempered they can be. You upset one having a piss, he'll break both your arms. In the end, I had to go to the bar and ask the barmaid. It was humiliating. I said, excuse me, am I a cob or a pen? She said, I don't know, I'm Polish. I don't think it's as important really in the swan world. You know, people talk about the difference between men and women. I think swans are pretty much the same, you know, they're both moody bastards. Other big swans are going around going, pens, eh? What are they like? God, can't live with them, can't live without them.
The problem with the superiority theory is that it treats all humour as a form of aggression. When I told one of the theorists that I didn't believe that was the case, he threatened to smash my face in, but I'm pretty sure he was only joking. I prefer to think of the superiority in jokes as playful banter, which can sometimes highlight the ebb and flow of power in everyday relationships. Or to put it another way, sometimes you win, sometimes the wife wins. Here's the brilliant Jackie Mason with a perfect example of what I mean.
But that's what people say if they have any decency. You'll lie to make people feel good. Like if you go to a wedding and you bump into the bride, she's all dressed up with the paraphernalia, and she's heading for the altar, and she happens to bump into you, and she says, well, how do I look? Now, what are you going to say? I don't know. I see better looking people. I can't lie. Only a schmuck would say, I can't lie. A decent person will tell her, you're the most beautiful bride that ever lived. That's what they tell her. They don't say, listen, well, I have to be honest. White is not your color. Decent people lie to make you feel good. That's what they do. Like a grandfather shows you a picture of a grandchild. They all do this. Why they do this, I'll never figure out. What makes them think that anybody wants